Well, David.
I forgot my fan.
Unfortunate.
Yep, let's pretend I had one. Welcome to The Cup, the currently unnamed podcast where we put the real and the tea in reality, and you can always come to us first to quench your thirst. I'm David Healy, and I don't have a cute intro, and I don't have a fan, but I do have a cute shirt. I decided to wear one of my favorite uh, Spanish queens and one of my favorite Mexican queens, and it is Visa, who actually was eliminated in a Rusical last year when she
Lord,
didn't
don't
deserve to
remind
be.
me. Don't remind me.
Yes. So I'm wearing this in homage to her. We love Visa. And I met her when I bought this shirt. So that was pretty cool.
Good for you.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. I'm just drinking some water though.
Okay. And I am Eduardo, the Mexican representative of this podcast. I'm here to talk shit and get hit. Today I am drinking a soda that like River kind of told me about, and I found it on my local store, and I was like, I need to try it, and so I'm trying it, and I really enjoy it so far. So yay!
Werk. And I am River, your Brazilian correspondent here on The Cup. And because Eduardo is drinking the soda that I recommended to him, it made me want to drink it today because I wasn't going to. I was just going to drink water. So I do have a cup of Guaraná as well to match Eduardo. And I also have some water in my Madrid mug because I have two Madrid mugs and I keep going between them during España just to match. I like to match.
And
I'm excited to talk about this episode because it was good.
It was. I love your mugs, by the way. And that reminds me that we do have to mention the cup mug. You can get your cup mug if you want one at lanagcreations.etsy.com. We ship internationally. We do. So there's no excuses. And there's other merch there too. So go check it out. It's worth looking at, right? But also, other than buying merch, you can also subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. We are always trying to get our subscriber count up, so please help us out if you can. And also be sure to like, share, and comment on this video, because we always love that. I love reading the comments, especially, well, not especially. Okay, it's really cool when we get one from one of the drag queens on the show. So like Mariana has commented a few times, and we appreciate that.
Our queen, we love her.
But I don't want to say especially because you are just as important, even if you weren't on Drag Race. So please comment.
I love to read the comments, and even like some things we like to like talk to the people. I love it. It's just like a bonus to what we do here. It's like a continuation of that. I like to keep the conversation going. We, especially on Philippines, we get a lot of comments and a lot of interesting comments. Like very passionate. I love it.
Very true. Yeah, and I try to respond to them. I haven't been as good about it lately because it's been a busy few weeks for me, but I promise I will respond to anybody who comments to this video. I'll do it.
Lord, that's a promise.
But yes, we had a really interesting episode. Some might say the best episode of the season. I know that's what Logan said. Logan couldn't be here, but yeah. It does say it in here.
It's just in my head, literally best episode of the season. I agree with Logan.
Yeah,
for me, was the best episode of the season so far.
Yeah, it's definitely up. It's really hard to make that statement for me because I just really liked a lot of the episodes this season. But I think this is going back into a more positive direction because the episodes before this, like I was starting to get consumed by some of the negativity coming from people, and we still have that. We still have some negativity.
Yeah.
Oh, we start with that.
Yeah, that's how we start.
From literally 5 minutes in, I was like, oh my God, here we go. Jesus.
Yeah, let's just get into it because we have all the queens come back after Miss Cristo got eliminated, and they are all pretty sad. I think Angelita seems especially sad because she sent her home, but she's not just sad, she's a little mad. I don't know who she's mad. I think she's mad at the situation.
She even said, she said that she was angry at herself and other things, but also like herself, which I understand. And it's valid. Also, she sent her friend home, so like it's
Yeah, and we have La Nina speak up, and she was talking about how she's really sad to see Miss Cristo go, and then Angelita just starts clapping. Like it might have just
She seemed, because everyone was kind of talking about when they go around the table, like after the elimination, beginning of the episode, when they are still like in the drag from the last episode. Before La Nina said that, I could tell from Angelita's body language that she was like nervous in a way. She was like kind of stimming. She was like moving around. She seemed uneasy. Let's just say that. And so when she clapped, kind of clapped, she was like just moving nervously. I could tell that it wasn't because of that immediately for me. So, but because she was very in her feelings and very like that, even though she was not wrong in the situation at all, like, and I didn't think it was a pointed question or an aggressive question that La Nina made. It was just to understand.
Yeah,
to understand. Well, like, did I say? Maybe she was like, did I say something, or I don't know. And then I was, until that point, I was on her side. I was like, it's okay to be in your feelings. I get it. You can be angry, you can be sad, whatever you want to feel. But then when she got so defensive for no reason after that question, I was just like, for what? For what?
Yeah, when she left the table and then went to her station and was like, I guess you're here, y'all. I was like, you removed
No,
yourself from the situation. You
after
removed
saying
yourself.
to La Nina, like, oh, it's not all about you, then she calls attention to the fact that she's walking off and and she's fine. And then the girls are like, they continue to talk because just because she left, they're not gonna stop the conversation. And then they're doing something positive, which is clapping for the eliminated queens. And then she makes it about herself and is like, I can still hear you, like, yeah, bitch, we know you can, like, we know.
Yeah,
No
like
one cares. No one
you
asked.
yeah, like you removed yourself from the situation and now you're putting yourself back in it. What is going on here?
Yep.
And
Like,
not even relevant to the conversation.
yeah, fully. It was like fully like a mandatory meeting. Like this was not part of the situation. Why did you bring that up? Why are we
Now
doing
I have
this?
to find the clip.
To quote a mandatory meeting, why are you being such a bunt? Like, Jesus.
Fully.
I mean, all in good fun, but like, because I know it's a TV show, and I think you, Eduardo, and Logan were talking about it in a different recap about how you appreciate a villain, and Angelita is giving a good villain, and I feel the same way.
Yeah.
I feel the same way. I think it's good TV. Doesn't mean it doesn't make me annoyed.
Yeah, fully. That's how I feel about it.
But it's great TV for sure.
Took me a while to find the clip. But speaking of quotes, I do want to, I wrote down a quote from Vampy in this whole situation because I was like, oh, I really like this kind of quote. But she was talking about Angelita and she says, I think Angelita wants to be the baby at the baptism, bride at the wedding, and the corpse at the funeral. Yeah, that's such a funny way of putting it. But
you know what I thought about this whole situation? Is that sometimes we say to others things that we should hear ourselves. That's what I think.
Fair. And I want to say this, just in case anybody from this cast is watching this video right now. You all are making me so tired and exhausted because I cannot think of the last time I've seen a season so split in half with the cast, like this group versus this group. But the problem is I really like almost everybody in this group and I really like almost everybody in this group. And I just want you all to get along. Please, please just tell me everything is okay now.
Fully, that's how I feel as well.
It's tiring.
Lord, can't we just get along? I love you all so much. Why are we all fighting?
But we move on to the next day. Everybody's gathered back around. It seems Angelita has calmed down a bit. She's kind of composed herself, which is great. Sometimes all we need to do is sleep things off, and we're feeling a little bit better. We do get the announcement. Supreme comes out and tells them that they're going to be doing a Rusical. So Rusicals have had a very good track record for the past year or so. So
Yeah,
I got
this
very
year
excited when
we've
it came out.
had I don't think any of the Rusicals, at least from the seasons that I watched, were bad.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think. No, they were all good this year. Mm-hmm.
I want to say I was kind of let down by the one France did, but I don't think either of you saw that.
I have not
Yeah, I
watched that
didn't watch that,
yet.
so
And
I wouldn't
that's
know.
mainly because France had maybe the best Rusical last year. So
Mm.
I think I had really high expectations for it, but spoiler, I think this is a good one. So we're good. But yes,
Mm-hmm.
Supreme tells them that they will have to divide themselves up and pick roles. And I kind of like this. I prefer this to like one person getting the blame for all of the roles,
Mm-hmm.
because this is a more even playing field and people have to really fight for it, and they can hold on to whatever they want as long as they want, and they don't have to be at the mercy of one individual person.
Yeah, like kind of each queen is responsible for their own choice, because like yes, you can have someone have the same choice as you, but it depends on how and how much you want to fight for the role. You know, if
Yeah.
you want to go like, oh, let's audition, or rock paper scissors, like whatever choices you make and how hard you fight for it is on you. So I do agree with you. I prefer that than having one person be responsible for everyone else's role. Like you're responsible for you. I like that.
Mhm. And it seems like for the most part things go pretty smoothly with picking the roles, except for 2 points of contention. The first one that comes up is the role of Carmen. And what's very interesting is we have friend versus friend in both battle here. So the first battle is Angelita versus Meggie. They both want the role of Carmen. Neither one of them want to be Lola. So eventually Meggie relinquishes the role, and she's like, "Yes, I can do the role that you don't that you don't want to do." So that actually was pretty peaceful and uneventful. But then we get a more contentious one,
Uh-huh.
and it comes down to Mariana and La Nina. They both want the same role. Um, what role was that again?
The protagonist.
That's right. I couldn't
Mhm.
remember her name.
Well, her name is the protagonist.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes it easy then.
Yeah,
That's why I was like, "What is her name?"
during the whole musical, she's like, I don't have a name.
Okay, well, shows that I miss things in the subtitles.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, so they end up having a vote amongst everybody, and it's a pretty slide vote for Mariana to get the role of the protagonist. I
I
get
think
it.
because she just won Snatch Game, like the girls were
Mhm.
like, okay, if the lead role flops, we all look bad.
Right.
And so
Yeah.
I think that's why mostly they voted for Mariana, because they felt more like safer with her being having like the biggest role, I think.
Yeah,
Mhm.
like
Not
the
because
ones
they
who.
don't think Lavinia was good. I honestly don't
Yeah.
think that.
Yep. And it's at this point that I think La Nina automatically felt very defeated. And she does not take this very well at all. She starts getting very emotional and crying and is already preparing to be in the bottom. And I think Mariana starts to feel pretty guilty, which she shouldn't. Mariana, if you're watching, you should not feel guilty about getting a role, especially when other people voted for you to have that role. So Mariana is like,
Yeah.
okay, if it will help, I will switch. Like, how can I make things better? And Lenina is like, no, 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 no. I will do this. I will do this role. And Mariana is like, well, what can I do to help? And Lenina is like, I don't know. Just slap me.
See, this was, I already love La Nina so much, but this was a moment, this is the moment that I really fell in love with her in a deeper level, because I saw myself. I have been in that exact moment for different reasons in a different situation, but in that feeling of like, I said that I want something, then I don't get it, then someone offers me that, and I'm like, no, I don't want it. Like, no, that's not the problem. It's not that I didn't, and it's just like you're just frustrated for a million other reasons, and then because that specific thing happened in a moment where it was already bottled up, it kind of like exploded onto everyone, and in maybe not in the best way, but I understood what was like for me. I got it. To me, it wasn't about which role she would get in the thing. It was about everything that had happened up until that point. And then that kind of maybe having people not vote for her was a thing that was kind of like, okay, I think I'm trash and everyone thinks I'm trash. And it was kind of like that inner monologue that we have that is not true, of course. But that's what I saw it as. I don't know if you kind of have a similar view.
Yeah, I did. I mean, I saw that she wanted a moment to just sit in her sadness and accept the defeat. But this is where I related to Mariana, because if I'm in a situation where somebody's sad or upset or mad or whatever, I'm like, how can I fix it? What can I do to appease things? How can I sacrifice whatever to make it better? Because I don't like seeing people upset or mad or sad. So I fully related to Mariana in that situation.
Yeah, I felt a lot for La Niña specifically because, as I've said before on this podcast, I used to do theater, and it's really frustrating when you don't get the role that you want. But it's really frustrating when it constantly keeps happening and you're just like not getting your way, and you're basically telling yourself like, oh, so I'm not good enough to do anything. I'm not good enough to be the main role. I'm not good enough to like be someone important. I just only get the one that appears for 20 seconds and then leaves the stage. I understand that it's very frustrating, and I felt a lot for La Nina, and I understood with everything that's going on how La Nina just broke down at that moment, and I related to her a lot. But I also understood Mariana and that situation in which, like, well, if your friend is upset and you can clearly try to do something to help them, you're gonna try to do that. But like in this situation, it is like I understand why La Nina was like, no, I cannot like take your role. That's not what was given to me, and I have to work with what's given to me. Like, this is what I have to do, and just let me be alone, let me be sad, and I'll fix it. I'll get myself together.
Mm-hmm.
I think that in that moment where Mariana, because I loved that instead of being like, I love that their reaction, Mariana, Chloe, and Vampy, their reaction was just, our friend is upset. We are just going to comfort her for now, and then we'll see what we can do to fix it. But they immediately saw that what she needed was not a solution to the problem. She just needed to be comforted in that moment and feel her feelings, and then they would be able to find a solution after comforting her.
Exactly.
And I think that Mariana was confident enough in her abilities as a singer, dancer, actor, whatever, to be like, okay, I can do well in either role, and my friend wants this one. So I think that was the thing that went through Mariana's mind. Like, she could do well in either, and I think she would have.
Mm. Yeah, and part of me wondered if another aspect to this is considering the fact that La Nina has done a lot of more masculine presenting things throughout the competition, like with her runways, with her Snatch Game character, and here she is having to play kind of more of a and not quite masculine, but a lesbian character, if I'm not mistaken.
That
Who?
was the one she wanted. That Mariana
Oh,
got. The main role was the lesbian because she
she
had a
was lesbian.
girlfriend, and yeah,
Okay. Yeah,
yes,
Both
right.
both
there's
of the
more point.
characters that La Nina wanted are lesbians, actually.
Oh, they both are. Okay.
So
Okay.
so the character that she is like the protagonist is more of a feminine presenting lesbian, while the character that she got is a more, I guess, butch version of a
Mhm.
lesbian, like stereotypically.
Right.
So I guess that's also, I agree with you, David, that might also be a situation in which she like it might be like a gender dysphoria thing.
Mhm.
Like,
I think it
if
was
you're
because
constantly
the other
doing,
two times that we had like an acting challenge, she did a more male role and failed. I think that's
yeah.
why she was like, okay, doing a more male centered role is not working for me, so I'm gonna do the opposite. I think it was that
Mhm.
Mhm.
I think
more
it's
than
a lot
anything
of
else.
things.
Maybe.
It's interesting that you mention the gender dysphoria because I was just talking about the France Rusical from last year that was my favorite, and my favorite person on that cast, Moon. which is why I have a moon in my name here, is a trans woman who has done like some drag king looks. Like if you look on their Instagram, they have a drag king persona, but you like she ended up doing a masculine role in the Rusical, and she did so well with it, but it really affected her even beyond that episode, and it really brought back this dysphoria. And spoiler, but she ended up withdrawing from the competition just because her headspace wasn't right anymore. So I think I'm a little ultra sensitive to that sort of thing after what happened with Moon and Drag Race France last year.
I think it could be either or just a mix of both. And anyway, yeah.
Yep. But we move on. We have our rehearsals where everybody's learning their choreography. I did not have a lot that stood out there. I think the main thing that kind of struck my eye was when we had the scene where Mariana and Angelita are doing choreography together, and they were trying to correct Mariana right there because they were like, "Remember, you're dying." And you need to like have that kind of energy, because she was just kind of overselling it. And Angelita, I really liked what she said here. She said, if Betty Davis and Joan Crawford could do it in Whatever Happened to Baby Jane, then I can work with Mariana. And I just love, like, I love the pop culture references that Angelita pulls, because it's so similar. Like, I can tell she's a movie buff, I'm a movie buff. So any sort of line like that, I'm like, okay, yeah, I get you, girl.
Yeah.
Did you all have anything else that stood out during the rehearsal?
The only thing that really
Angelita
stood
and
out
Maggie
to me,
being kind of bullies again. Not bullies, but laughing while other people are laughing, pointing, going like, like while other people are rehearsing, kind of like making fun of other people. Which, again, is it good TV? Yes. Is it weird and kind of cringy to see people that are older than me acting like kids that I used to teach? Yes, it's weird. But hey, it adds to the whole story. But that was the only thing really that caught my eye during the rehearsals, because it wasn't the first time, right? For either.
Yeah, the only other thing that I can remember is we saw La Nina struggling a little bit during the rehearsals, and we got an interesting confessional from her where she said, "Spoiler alert, I'm going to be lip syncing this week." And what that told me is that she was already feeling defeated. And when you have that in your head, like, you have to like break free of that mindset, or else you're going to have a self-fulfilling prophecy. Like, I do wonder, like, did she film that confessional before the Rusical, or was that something after the Rusical that they just happened to splice in there and actually give us a spoiler?
I don't know, but I was also gonna bring that up. Like, this entire episode, it felt like La Nina was just really, hello. Okay, well, it felt like La Nina was really like had just given up on the competition at this point. Like, it felt like she was saying like, I know I'm gonna go. I know I'm like
I'm going
gonna
home.
leave this competition. I'm going home. Like, it truly felt like that. And like, I don't know if it was before or after, but throughout you could feel that energy that like La Nina was just not really like having fun anymore with the competition. Like, she's a lot in her head, and like she's really self-conscious about all of this. So yeah, I agree with you as well. This kind of felt like a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Well, we go back to the workroom. Everybody is hanging out in groups. I'm actually wondering how they ended up in the groupings that they were in, because I think it was Vampi, La Nina, Mariana, and Angelita at one table. And then the other table was Chloe, Meggie, and Le Coco, which I would have like naturally in my brain switched Chloe and Angelita and expected those to be the tables that they're just hanging out at. So what's
Yeah,
even going on here?
it felt weird that Angelita was between. She was between Mariana and Chloe, I think. Who was
Mariana
it
and La
on her
Nina.
left side? La Nina, Mariana and La
Yes.
Nina, yes. And I was like, why is she getting ready with, what is going on here?
Yeah, it makes me
Yeah.
wonder if the producers like assign them those spots because it just doesn't feel like where they would go naturally.
Or maybe it's because they, Mariana and Angelita they did a lot together in the Rusical, so maybe they were getting ready next to each other to kind of like go over lines or something. That would make sense.
That's also
Mhm.
possible.
That would be the only thing other than producers putting them together. That would make sense to me.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And
But
it might have been that, I think.
yeah, could be.
Yeah.
But we do see a conversation at the table with Le Coco, Chloe, and Maggie. And they start asking Maggie about her daughter and they want to see pictures of her daughter. So she pulls out the pictures and starts getting emotional and crying. And we get a nice little confessional from Le Coco where she's like, I didn't bring any pictures, so I'm not
Yeah.
I'm not even
Like
gonna get emotional.
She was like, I don't care. I didn't bring anything from my family. Like, I don't need it. I will be fine. I am focused.
Right.
But there's one thing that she said that I was like, okay, honestly, work. Because she said at the end, I don't think about my family when I'm feeling sad in the bad moments. I think about my family in the good moments when I'm
Mhm.
feeling good. And I loved that.
Mhm.
Like, I love it. I understand, like, maybe not taking pictures and all of that so you can be focused and like maybe channel thinking about your family when you need to like find emotion for a challenge or during a lip sync or something. Not everyone feels the same way and like misses their family the same way and all of that. So I don't see any problem with it. But I just loved that she said that about like thinking about her family in the good moments. I love that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And
But we
I
do
plead the fifth on commenting about Maggie and her child.
Okay, well, don't worry. We're not getting into that specifically. So, but yeah, we do see Angelita over at the other table, and she's like, "I'm going to go over there. I want to see these pictures," which to me makes sense. It's her friend.
Mhm.
Why wouldn't she want to see the pictures? So she
It's the
goes over
way
there.
she did it though. It's the way she did it though. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Well,
Oh,
Did you clock that when because she said she was going over there, then she started walking. When she walked past Mariana, she looked she passed her and went like this.
no, I
She
didn't.
did like a
I
side look. If you watch it again, that specific moment, clock it. I saw it and
I
I was like,
I will
okay.
say that when Angelita was moving tables, I did see like something in her eyes where it kind of felt like Angelita was like, "Why are you not coming over here? Like, why are you not here to like help Maggie and like comfort her? Like, hello?" And it's like, for me, it felt very natural for Angelita to go over to Maggie, but it also felt like she expected everyone to go
Hmm.
help Maggie and like not help her, but like to go hug her and like tell her, "Oh, your family's so cute" and whatever. And like clearly, like La Nina and Mariana and like these people don't like each other, and like they're
Hmm.
not gonna share the same like they're not gonna want to share that moment with people that they don't get along with. So I don't know if
Which is
Angelita
exactly
was
what
really
happened next.
Yeah.
yeah, which is exactly what happened right after.
Right. I go back and forth on who I think are the catty ones. Honestly, they're all catty. They're all catty in various ways. But this is, for me, La Nina felt like the catty one. She's like, oh, she can't go 5 minutes without getting camera time. And I'm like, girl, it's our friend. Like, why wouldn't she want to see her friend's
And
kid?
also, it's a reality show. That's what you're there. Like, I understand being
Yeah.
annoyed at that. That's valid. But being like thinking it's wrong of someone to go after camera time in a reality
Hmm.
show, come on. I mean,
Like
you don't have to like it, but come on.
yeah, that's what
Hmm.
I've said before. Like everyone here is on Drag Race because they like drag, and we all know that drag is like a you want attention. Like if you're a drag queen, you most likely like attention. If you are on the internet, you probably like attention. If you're posting yourself on the internet, you probably like a little bit of attention, whether you like to admit it or not. So like it's absolutely understandable. I do think like that Angelita does have some tendencies to want to steal the spotlight, but I think everyone does. And I think this moment wasn't one of those moments. Like, for example, I do think she was having that moment at the beginning of the episode when she was like, "Oh, I can hear you clapping. I'm here too." That felt very much
I'm
like,
not
give
deaf.
me airtime. Like, it
Mm-hmm.
felt very much like, I am here, give me the airtime. I'm here to cause some drama. This one felt very much like, oh, I'm just gonna go hang out with my friend. And like, this was not the moment, but
Right.
I do understand the criticism of like, oh, of course you want airtime. Like, it's, I get it, but like, everyone's here for airtime. Like, let's be for real.
Yep. But she's over there, and then eventually Chloe pulls out her pictures of her friends, which I thought were super cute pictures, and she gets very emotional too. And we get a comment from Le Coco about like, oh, maybe I'm sabotaging them by getting them all worked up and emotional. I freaking love Le Coco. I have since
I
episode 1. I'm obsessed with her.
I get it now, David. When you were so obsessed with her on episode, like in the beginning, it was like I had nothing against her. Like I was neutral on her, but I
Mhm.
didn't get it when you were so like hyping her up so much. And now I'm like, okay, I see it.
I see it.
I see it. I see the vision. I'm with you. It's her and Bumpy for me, like that I started very much question mark
Right.
on. That grew the most on me. Like, ugh.
Yeah, for me, Le Coco has like, I was pretty negative on Le Coco at the very beginning of the season. Like, I did not enjoy her in her first episode, but the more and more episodes I watch of her, and the more that we get from her, I fall in love with her more and more, and with her personality. So I am really starting to enjoy Le Coco at this point. She's definitely one of my favorites at this point. So I, she was a slow burn for me, but I've grown to really like her.
Good. Yay.
Mhm.
Because I think
We are all like
I
Coco
think she could
stands
win.
now.
Yes.
Yeah, she
I think
absolutely
she's a
could.
big
Oh,
front
she
runner.
can. I can see that
Hmm.
Hmm.
for sure.
Yeah, so we have Angelita go back to her other table, and I really like this. She included them in it, and she said, "Hey, do you all have any pictures that you all want to share?" And I thought that was great. And Lanina still just feels really jaded about everything Angelita is doing in this moment.
Well, I get it. Like, La Niña doesn't like
Hmm.
Angelita, and that's absolutely fine.
Yeah,
And this is not a moment that she wants to share with Angelita. Like, she said
right.
it herself. I don't want to be showing these pictures to Angelita. I
Fair.
wish I could be showing them to like Mariana, Vampi, and Chloe. They are my friends, and they're the ones that I would like to show this with. But I am in a situation in which, well, I kind of have to show them to Angelita. Like, I understand why
Mhm.
like La Niña isn't absolutely thrilled to be showing like her personal life with someone that she doesn't care about. Like,
But
I
it
would
gave her
feel the exact
airtime,
same
and
way.
Anita gave her
True.
airtime. So hey,
It's actually eerily similar to a few episodes ago where we had Mariana provoke Angelita and in an episode, and Angelita could not let it go that whole episode. And the roles are kind of reversed, where Angelita provokes La Nina with the comment earlier in the episode, and it felt like La Nina couldn't let it go this time. Which,
Mhm.
I mean,
oh
that's
right,
human.
because in the begin, yes, yes, yes,
Hmm.
yes, that's
It
true.
is.
Mm-hmm,
But
mm-hmm.
we do see pictures from Vampy where she had facial hair, and we find out that her boyfriend is also a drag queen.
Yeah.
So
And that
maybe
they started
season 5.
together, like that is so cool.
Yes.
It is,
I
and
love
they have
that.
very similar aesthetics from what we saw, at
Hmm.
least. So I thought that was cool.
Yeah. Also, Vampy with facial hair and eyebrows.
Mhm.
Am I into this? Hello, Vampy. Hello.
Mhm.
I've been missing on something. I've been missing on something.
But I think we are about there.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Okay, we go to the main stage and we see our judges. I do not remember the name of the guest judge.
Melody.
Melody.
Melody. That's right, because her song is what we did. That's right. But I think all of the people on the panel look really good. I think this
Mm-hmm.
might be one of my favorite looks ever from Supreme. I really
Mhm.
like this.
I was
The
about to say the exact same thing
okay,
from this
I
season because I this is the first season that I'm watching of España, but for from the looks that I've seen this season, this is definitely my favorite.
Mhm.
Well,
Yeah,
for sure.
it's definitely up there for me. This and like the one that she had in the premiere feel
Mhm.
very like both have like a very Asian feel, but they're both really really good, and they're both definitely the best looks that she has brought so far. And this one is really really interesting to me. I really enjoyed this look.
Yes. Do you all remember what my favorite color combination is?
Oh,
Blue
is
and
it orange
orange.
and blue? Because I
No,
love it
it's
as well.
so
It looks
Lana
so
would
good.
know if she was here. It's blue
Is it
and
orange with
any.
it?
It's
Blue
blue
and
in
any color.
anything. So
Ah,
we
okay.
got blue and orange. They're complementary colors. So I thought it
Mhm.
really popped for me. I really like this. Not one of my favorites. I don't think from Anna. Like it's not bad. It's not bad, but I think it's the nude of it all that kind of got me. But she still looks good.
Yeah, I also think the nude is a little off, but like I generally didn't really care about it because I thought that the actual look was very fitting for this challenge.
Oop,
So, hello, why do you keep doing this to me? You're trying
my
to
fingers
silence
are
me.
too fat, I
Trying to
You
guess.
are
silence the
trying to
Latin voices of the
silence me.
podcast for what reason, David? I want to
Oh
know.
Lord, what do you have against me, Lord? But yeah, I think this is a pretty like quintessential analoging look. Like this is what she does, and I really enjoy this look as
Mhm.
well.
I think this might be the first and only time that I'm gonna say that I disagree with you, David, about the nude.
Oh, okay.
I don't mind it. I don't mind the nude
Mhm.
in this. Um, it's not my favorite unlocking look. I still like it though. It's just I'm not really a fan of polka dots.
Mm,
It's just not for me. But I still like it. I still like it.
okay, fair.
And the hobbies look good.
They do.
And Melody
They are
also looks
there.
good. I like that it was kind of like a black and white and then orange and blue. So like
Yes.
Hmm.
it's very well balanced. It looks good together.
I agree. Well,
Yes.
I guess we should get into the Rusical. So now
Mhm.
I will move to the next slide.
There you go. Finally, you don't have to silence me.
Mhm. Is this everybody? That doesn't feel like everybody. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It is everybody,
It's
plus
just
a few
Chloe
extras.
is behind Maggie's
Mhm.
wig.
Mhm. How about we go? We'll go very quickly. I don't have a lot of thoughts about each individual, but I do kind of want to talk about them in order that they came out. And I have rankings. I don't know if you all have rankings. I had rankings, but they were really hard because, spoiler, I think everybody did really well. And for me, this felt like a musical where afterwards I was like, oh, it should be a lip sync for the win because there were not two people that I could say, hey, you didn't do well.
Hmm. Yeah, I agree with you. I once this Rusical was over, I was like, oh, this is definitely gonna be a top two for the win scenario, and it
Mhm,
wasn't. But like, I felt like it was one of the lip syncs where like it's so good, everyone felt so natural, no one messed up like really badly, like everyone did good, and so I was like, oh, I think everyone deserves to stay this episode because everyone did well. I don't want anyone to go. I wonder how that went. Anyways, yeah, those were my thoughts. I do have rankings as well.
Okay, cool. So the first person we see is, of
Wait,
course, oh,
there you go again with
oh,
silencing. Because I
sorry.
want
Silencing
to give my
people.
overall
Look, I'm
thoughts
used to you
before we
interjecting
get
when you
in.
need to.
Just some overall thoughts before we get into the girls
Mhm,
individually. I agree with y'all. It overall was a really good musical. And I also think that we could have had a lip sync for the win, but nobody flopped, nobody did bad, but I do think that the two people that were in the bottom while watching the musical, I could tell. I was like, okay, if there is a bottom two, those are those would be it. Like it
mhm,
was still good, I think, because the thing is, there was one technical mistake in the whole musical, right? Which was the during like the shoes part with everyone. So for me, when it's a group challenge and nobody does necessarily bad, I really do think that they those are the challenges that they should do a lip sync for the win. When it's like a group challenge and everyone does good, like here.
mhm. I agree. And I think it's also important to note, especially for any Spanish speaking viewers we have,
Yes.
Yes. The subtitles during the Rusical, they only had translations into English or Portuguese, I'm assuming.
No, I watch
During
it in English so that we see
Oh,
the same thing.
okay.
With the subtitles in English, so we watch the same thing.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that. But the English subtitles are only during speaking lines throughout the musical. So anytime they sang, the subtitles were in Spanish. So it's been 20 something years since I've taken a Spanish class. So my Spanish is not very good. And most of the time that they were singing, I had no idea what they were singing about.
Unfortunate. You guys really missed out on a lot
Mhm.
because I feel
But-
like the actual song parts, not only were they like the characters telling basically like the protagonist character what to do with her life, but they were also kind of referencing who I'm guessing is who the character was and kind of like what the character that they're making kind of like a joke about, or like, well, not a joke, but like a
Mhm.
reference to
Homage, an homage.
what they are, who they are. Yeah, an homage.
Mm-hmm.
Like who they are, what they did, and kind of like a little bit about like that they were iconic, a little bit. Like I definitely missed a lot of references, but I definitely understood a lot more than you guys did because I do speak Spanish, and so for me it was really quickly, very
No
easy
way.
to understand.
Oh,
Who
by
would
the
have
way,
thought, right?
does this
Wait,
answer?
you speak that is brand new information to me.
I was
By the way,
confused for a second. I am so sorry.
does this dancer in
Sorry,
the
go.
front kind of look like Tessa Testicle to you all?
Oh, looking quickly, kind of. Yeah.
I see it a little bit.
Yeah,
The one
But
on the
it's
left.
funny.
without my glasses, I
If you squint.
definitely say yes. But when I put them on, I'm like, oh no, that's a different man. Okay.
No,
It's
I
just a
but
little
also
funny.
go ahead, Eduardo,
go.
because finish what you were saying, because I have something to add.
No, I just wanted to say that at the end I really enjoyed this kind of message that we got of like, oh, just because someone is dead does not mean they're fully gone. Like these icons still live through our culture and through people like drag queens that go out of their way to make homage and kind of put them on stage again, even though they're dead. And I really like that message of like uh, people being kind of like gone, but still like not fully gone, still being represented, and like still always being in like the people's memory. It felt very much like I like since I'm Mexican and Dia de los Muertos is very close. I'm like, oh, this feels very much kind of like the same way that I feel about like Day of the Dead. We're making homage to the people that we lost, but they're like by making that they're not fully gone, and I really like that.
See, I just recently found out that we have the same holiday as y'all, and I didn't
Oh,
put it together because I didn't know that Day of the Dead for y'all was November 2nd, because we also have the
mm-hmm.
Day of the Dead on November 2nd. But I don't think
Oh,
it's the
didn't know
same thing.
that.
But it is kind of, anyways. Fun fact. But I'm kind of in the middle of both of you because I speak A1 Spanish, which is basic level. But like I understand about like 70%, I would say, of
Mhm.
watching España. And I was like, so I missed a little bit of the lyrics that were in Spanish. Um, but for me, what was in the way of me enjoying this musical even more, or even understanding it fully, is that I have no reference to who any of these women are or were or represent or any of that. So when I talk about how I feel like they did individually, I could tell that what was translating to me was not what was translating to the judges. So I kind of keep that in mind of being like somebody that I kind of thought didn't do well actually did great because she was doing the character that I didn't know who it was supposed to be. So
Mhm.
that's kind of my disclaimer because it's hard to judge challenges that have very very specific references.
Yeah, I'm with you. I like to anytime there's something like this where I could rank somebody's performance, I like to do that before I have any clue from the judges, like before I know tops or bottoms or anything. So I'm as authentic as possible, because it's very easy for the judges to kind of lead you a certain direction. So you will see, especially a couple like wild variations from what the judges thought in my rankings. And speaking of, first we have Mariana Stars. I thought she was killing it the whole time. I was so into her delivery. She was so animated. She just really felt like the perfect lead. I couldn't imagine anybody else pulling off this role as well as her. Like my eyes kept going to her, and that's the point of a lead. Like you can be a lead that's kind of the straight man and other characters overshadow you, but I never felt like she was being overshadowed. And the whole shoe incident, I did not notice that. Like I remember them mentioning that line earlier, but it didn't occur to me like that line didn't come out of her mouth. So I loved everything she did. Mariana was my number one.
Wow. Wow. Okay, that is a little bit wild for me. I think just the character itself, like, is already a hard character to do because everyone else has a reference that clearly everyone in this group understands and can do. Mariana's character is just basically a blank slate of like you get no references, you have to create your character on your own, basically. And so it's a little tough. I thought that she did a really good job. She was always in character and she was always doing the damn thing. I think you like even when you're not like the person singing or talking, you can still steal the show by just being in the background and being your character and doing the things that your character would like normally do. And I feel like Mariana was doing a lot of that, but I did also feel like since everyone's like all the other characters are so energetic that there were moments in which I did lose Mariana for like a second or two. Like there were moments where I was like, oh yeah, this is like Mariana is the protagonist. I forgot. Like just a few seconds where like I was more interested in like what other people were doing rather than what Mariana was doing. But I don't think she did a bad
But I think
job. I
that's a
agree
good
with you,
thing,
David.
right?
Yeah, I also I was gonna say I don't think it's a bad thing, but I agree with you, David. Like I did not notice the line like that was missing. It went over my head. I did not realize it, and I think a good actress is able to do that well. But I also think that she had some help from someone that was also there from like Angelita to like kind of make it pass off a lot better. But I think that Mariana did a pretty good job. I just for me it felt like she was overshadowed a little bit by three specific people, which is why for me she's number 4.
Okay. So yeah, I also didn't clock the shoe thing in the moment, and I think that is just props to Mariana and Angelita for, because here's the thing. I think the judges maybe knew or had a script or knew when they saw it that something was happening, because they didn't let it translate in their faces or their body or anything that something was going wrong or the way that it wasn't supposed to. So props to both of them for that. But of course, the judges clocked it, and then after I heard it, we have to take that into consideration a little bit. But also, like I'm not an actor, but like it must be really hard to recover like that and to kind of like not let it show that you made a mistake. So, um, I agree that Mariana was one of my favorites, and I think one thing that I think it was Angelita that said that she sounded like um the voices of dubbed uh
Like
kids movies,
cartoon characters.
like
Yes.
animation cartoons, like a cartoon voice.
Yeah.
And I was like, yes, that's exactly. It was so animated, and not just her voice, but like she kind of acted like she was a cartoon character in
Mhm.
a play. Like it was so camp, it was so exaggerated in the way that I love. Like the facial expressions, from the facial expressions to the like the physical comedy and like the way she would use her body to act, and was like in character the whole time. um I think she was like the piece that glued everyone, like all the other characters together. Like it was just centered around her, her character, the story. But I think with being the protagonist, she had her moments to shine, but she was also able to, when she was in a scene with other people, give everyone else their moment to shine as well. Like she kind of is the kind of performer that is like, I know I have my moment, and I know that you have your moment, and she's like, I would say, a gracious performer in that sense. So yeah, I think Mariana for me, because my two favorites are tied for like my favorite performance. So she would be technically number 3, but also technically number 2 because other people are tied for number 1. So she would be in the top for me for sure. That's the thing.
Yep.
That's
and it's
very
also
fair.
it's worth noting that she significantly had more lines than anybody else because she was the only person involved in every single scene. So if she forgot a line, I kind of get it because she had a lot to remember.
And she had to stay in character the longest. So like, and she was in character the whole time. So that is, she's a great actress.
Speaking of great actress, we have Meggie next, and I was so impressed with Meggie's acting in this Rusical. I think she has a natural charisma on stage, and the best thing about her in this performance was her facial expressions. She really sold it with the facial expressions. Like there were moments where I'm like, "Oh, come on, girl, give me that face." So I really liked Meggie in this performance. Meggie was actually my number 2.
Well, this is where I have my hot take, I guess, because like I do think Maggie did a really really good job as well. This the dancing was really good. The facial expressions were really well done as well. I just think that when compared to like Mariana as well, Mariana, I was constantly looking back at Mariana, like when they were both on the scene, and so I kept looking to Mariana instead of looking to Maggie. Like, and I just like it's nothing against her. Like she didn't do bad. She did everything that she needed to do. And you also think that she had the unfortunate event of going first out of the characters that leave and then have to come back. And so once the Rusical was about to be over, I had already forgotten her performance until she returned, and I was like, "Oh, that's right, Maggie is here." So that's a little bit unfortunate. It is no fault of her own. I think she still did really well, and I guess I would have had her 5th, but I don't necessarily like. As I said, she didn't do badly. She did really well, anyways, and like I enjoyed her. I enjoyed her quite a bit.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the middle between the two of you because I think Maggie did very good technically. Like she didn't miss any lines. She delivered lines with um it wasn't flat. Like she added something to the lines. The dancing was great. The facial, like she delivered acting in the face as well. It just, for some reason, I'm with you, Eduardo. For some reason, she just didn't captivate me on stage. Technically, there was nothing wrong with her performance at all for me. I just was not captivated by her performance on stage. She couldn't keep my eye on her as well. I kept looking at other places, and I don't know, it didn't pull me in, but I didn't think it was bad in any way, shape, or form. She would have been tied with another queen for like the first safe spot. So like 4th and 5th for me are tied. So it would
There's
be
only one save.
I know, so exactly, but because I don't know, out of those 2 queens, I honestly could not tell you who I think could have been in the bottom out of those 2 queens because they didn't do bad.
Yeah.
So it's hard. Anyway, we'll get into it.
Okay, next up we have Le Coco come out. Well, with Vampirasian, but Le Coco's verse was first, so I'll talk about her first. I thought her character was interesting because you could tell that it was a bit of a deadpan performance, but she still delivered it in a way that really commanded my attention. I really liked her character. I think as a character, it was probably one of my favorites. I don't know that it left the biggest lasting impression out of everybody, but I thought she did really well. And I wrote down, I'm like, what can she not do? Because I think Coco is really showing herself to be one of the most well-rounded queens in this cast. For me, I did have her in that safe spot at number 4.
Okay, for me, Le Coco, did a really good job. I really, really enjoyed this character and the way that she made this character, because this character just feels right up Le Coco's alley. Like, this is what the type of character that I would expect her to do, and she fit the mold perfectly. She did it really well, and I have to disagree with you, David. I feel like both her and we will get to her right after. Both her and Vampy were the ones that left the most impression on me. They were the ones that I was constantly thinking back to, because I felt like they relied on each other a lot, and they made each other a lot more fun and a lot more interesting, and therefore I felt like if I had one at the top, I had to have the other one at the top. Which is, spoiler alert, I have both of them on the top. So I think Le Coco, out of the two, was like a little bit smaller for me than Vampy, and we will get to her later. But for me, Le Coco was third. She would have been in my top.
Yeah, I would have Le Coco in the top as well, because honestly, like I said, they came in together and then they did separate performances. But for me, Le Coco and Vampy, when they came in together, they stole the show, and it was just the beginning. And I was like, okay, maybe we can go uphill from here, but I don't think we're gonna, and we didn't. Spoiler alert for me. Not that it was like a fall downhill, but it didn't improve. It didn't get bad, but it did not improve, is my thing. Um it reminded me, I just thought about it when you were talking about it, Eduardo. It reminded me of how, if you remember the Rusical for season 13 about social media, where they had Denali and Gottmik come in as the Russian twins, and they just ate everyone up, and they like, is the one thing that I remember from that Rusical is the both of them coming in as the twins. And it here was a different situation, wasn't twins, but the entrance gave me the same impact of being that memorable. And they were the highlight. I know we're talking about it individually, but for me, them together was the highlight of this Rusical, period. um I loved Le Coco's character being like that. It was just, she felt the most comfortable on stage for me out of everyone. I don't mean like best performance or any of that, but she was the one that felt the most confident and comfortable. Like she could do anything. Um, and I'm gonna tie them together, and then we'll go back, because I cannot talk about them separate. Vampy just, I feel like we might be crowning her this season. I'm starting to get that feeling a little bit of maybe, possibly. But I can definitely see her in the finale from after this, after last week, and then this. Period. And something that one of the judges said that for me was the one thing about Vampy, especially this episode, is versatility. Because now we kind of gotten a lot of different characters from Vampy, and we can see how well-rounded she is as an actress. Because I think that's her forte, is the acting, and it was just, she was my number one, tied with Le Coco. But if I had to choose one, it would be Vampy.
Okay, yeah. We'll stick with Vampy now. So, this is where my hot take is going to be, because I think Vampy did very well. For me, she was the one that did not stand out as much as Le Coco. I think I got more of a specific characterization from Le Coco, and I got a little bit of a more generic character from Vampy. Um, I thought her singing was the best. The recorded like vocals were definitely the best for Vampy. But I could also tell that there were things getting lost in translation for me, because the judges were cracking up harder at her than anybody else. So I'm like, okay, they're clearly liking it. I'm not getting the jokes. And a lot of it was because I wasn't seeing the translations. But for me, I think she was the one person that left me with a little bit of a question mark after their performance. So uh, please be nice to me, but I actually had her number 7 out of 7.
I'm gonna destroy you. I'm gonna destroy you.
Look, isn't it
Because
fun when
spoiler
we
alert,
don't agree on every single thing?
I
I
love it.
guess so.
Actually, it's my
I
favorite.
guess so, yeah.
Mhm.
This is wild to me because spoiler alert, Vampy was my number one. I think Vampy, like coming into this challenge, I had high expectations of Vampy. I know that Vampy is a good actress. And the moment I saw her come out, I was like, okay, we're starting off good, and it just kept getting better and better. I'm guessing you really lost out on a lot because for me, this was just such a fun, except like it was just a lot of fun. I loved this character. This character, like I didn't feel like I knew who she was, but afterwards I was like, I really, really enjoyed this character that Vampy did. And like all of the little jokes that she was throwing out, I got them and I was laughing like along. And as I said, I feel like both Le Coco and Vampy were really leaning on each other to help each other be funnier and be better. And I feel like Vampy is already at a higher level than Le Coco when it comes to acting, and this just like with the help of Le Coco to even help her lift her up even more, it took her to new heights that I truly wasn't expecting. Her singing was great, her dancing was good, everything was where it needed to be, and for me it was almost perfect. For me, Vampy was my winner. I thought she did amazing.
Mhm. I do have a question for you now, though. So, since a lot of her jokes that she had, or the parts that the judges were laughing at the most, were in Spanish, do you think that was because of the writing, or do you think it was more because of her delivery of it? Because if it was the writing, then maybe anybody could have succeeded with those specific jokes she was delivering.
I guess so. I think it's both because I think
Mm.
like I do definitely think that these jokes were already on like the script. However, when you're in a comedy, you have to be able to have comedic timing, and I and like have to be able to deliver a joke. And I think Vampy is really capable of delivering a joke really well. So I think it's like I think in which the jokes could have been understood, but they could have not been told in a good way. Like for example, if Maggie had done this character, do I think I would have understood the jokes as well? Yes. Do I think the judges would have been laughing just as hard as they were with Vampy? No, because I think Vampy has a better line delivery and joke delivery than a few of the people here. So I think it's a little bit of both.
Yeah, I'm on the same page. It was all about the delivery because the
Okay.
line and the joke can be good, but if you don't know how to tell it, it's not people are not going to laugh. So
Mhm.
it is a combination of both. I agree.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And but my I think my whole point was I think m- pretty much everybody in this cast has shown that they're capable of delivering lines for the most part. So that's why I think like maybe she kind of got lucky with a good role, but I still want to give her props because clearly the judges loved it, my fellow panelists loved it, and I liked it. Like once again, she may be 7th for me, but I liked everybody in this musical. So I want to make that clear.
Yeah,
Um,
even the people that were in the bottom two, at least for me, I still liked their performances.
mhm,
I still didn't think they did bad. So even the people that we put in our bottoms,
right.
we still lived.
Mhm. Speaking of living, the next person was Angelita, and I lived for it. I thought she did really well. She's another one. So for me, the two people that really sold it with their face were Meggie and Angelita. I All of her facial expressions were telling me everything I needed to know, even in parts where I couldn't understand what was being said. She just had a delivery that really worked for me. So I was so impressed with her. The vocals weren't quite there, but who cares? I'm not going to judge them too much on that. I don't expect them all to be the best singers. The only thing that I will slightly critique her for is there were times where she was talking to Mariana, and I don't think her blocking was the best because I still want to see your face, and she was just leaning a little bit too far away, so I was missing most of her face. So I wish she had delivered it in a way where she was looking forward a little bit more. But that is just my one small critique. I still had her in the top 3. She was number 3 for me.
I have to agree with you when it comes to the blocking, but I don't think Angelita is the only one that suffered from this. I think this was an issue overall with a lot of the girls. There were several moments with like Maggie and Le Coco in which they were turning to Mariana, and you could kind of see their face, but like since they have really big hair, their hair kind of covered up their face a little bit. And I also did notice it a little bit with Angelita. Like she had to turn even more than like Le Coco and Maggie had to. And so there were moments in which I could only see like this part of her face. And that was a little bit unfortunate. But Angelita is also a really, really good actress. She's also really good, and she's also really, really funny. And this character is really, really funny. And like this character just feels right up Angelita's alley. It just fits her perfectly like a glove. It just felt correct to have her do this character. And I've been in the same situation that Angelita has been, in which you are on stage and someone forgets their lines and the scene cannot move forward unless they say those lines, and you have to improvise something to make the scene like keep going. And I thought that the way that she did it was very natural, very helpful, and it helped Mariana look even better, because both Mariana and Angelita were so calm and natural about that mistake that happened that none of us caught on to it. So I want to give her huge props for that. And just this character is super funny to me. It was great. It was also one of the ones that really like left an impression on me, which is why for me Angelita was number 2.
See, for me, I feel a similar way that I did about Maggie's performance. And I think Angelita is a case for me that I really think that I was not able to enjoy her performance like you. Or maybe it's not, because you also don't know the reference, but I just, it didn't translate to me. I didn't enjoy it necessarily. Like, just like Maggie, there were no technical mistakes. The opposite, even. Like, she helped someone that made a mistake. So, like, like, I give her props as a performance, as a performer and an artist in being a professional. And, like, she knew all of her lines. Like, I clocked the blocking as well, but that's fine, you know. But it was a similar thing to Maggie. Like, it didn't translate to me. I didn't connect to it. She wasn't able to catch my attention and keep it. I kept looking at other things that were happening when it was like her part. But I could tell that the judges were enjoying it and that she was doing well. And so immediately I was kind of like, okay, I'm not enjoying this because I'm the problem. It's me. Like, I was like, I'm not getting it. There's something that's not translating it. It's not that she's doing bad. So that's why for me, I kind of have her tied with Maggie for like the first and second safe. Because then one of those two would be technically in the bottom for me. And I honestly cannot tell you which one of the two I would have in the bottom, because I don't think
Go
either of
based
them
off
would
the
deserve to be in the
look.
bottom. Like,
Go based off the look.
yeah,
One
I
had
would
a
have to
better
do
look
that.
than the
But then,
other.
well, anyway, yeah. But because we're just talking about the performances, like the performances, it would be tied for me. I wouldn't. I don't know.
Okay. Well, next up we have La Niña del Antro. And I thought her character was maybe the hardest one to actually deliver, like a strong performance, because it felt like she was kind of like the straight man of the group, if that makes sense. Like the
Yeah.
character that had the least like fun moments. It was just a very straightforward, serious performance. And I think she delivered it that way, and she did well, and she had a good transformation into this character. I really liked how she was made up and how she presented herself, but it felt like she was in a box, and it was really unfortunate. Like I understand after watching the performance why she felt defeated with this character, because I think she probably had the least amount to work with. With that said, I think she did as well as she could, and for me, she was number 6.
Okay. Well, for me, La Nina kind of like she did fine. Like she did the best with what she got, and I agree with you, David. This character is kind of a tougher one to make really stand out. But when you are in a room full of crazy people, I think sometimes having a straight line can really like stand
Mhm.
out and really help you like do something interesting. I just think that La Nina was just really in her head and really just like she just felt defeated the entire time. Like I didn't feel her having fun doing this. I felt like she was just kind of like not enjoying even like these little moments, because we've seen time like several times before where like a character that just has a few lines comes in and steals the entire show. I feel like just the way that La Nina delivered her lines felt a little bit smaller than like the character calls for, because I feel like this character, from what I understand, has a lot more to play with. Maybe it's just the fact that like the script and maybe a mix of that with just La Nina being defeated like was not a good mix, and just it just kind of fell a little bit flat. She was my last place. She was my seventh, but she didn't do badly. I just feel like I could notice the defeat.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think the perfect word would be flat. Like to me, like I said, we had one technical mistake in the whole Rusical, which was Mariana missing the line, and that's it. Because nobody missed a line, nobody missed steps, nobody like there was none of that. It was just good. Um, but for me, La Nina was also my number 7. She was my least favorite, but because I feel like it was because she was kind of defeated. She was like not. You could kind of tell that she didn't put anything into the character. She just said the lines. Like there was no characterization for. I didn't see any characterization. I didn't see anything from that character. It was just she was just there. Like but she knew the lines. She knew the steps. She knew, you know what I mean. Like it was fine, but it was just meh. It was flat is the word. But which is unfortunate because La Nina is one of my favorite queens from this season, like just as a person.
Mhm.
So it hurts me to say that she was my least favorite, but it's the truth. So
Yep. Fair. But I think what also might have hurt La Nina is that her character was paired up with Chloe's character. And if we had the most serious character with La Nina, we had the most unserious character with Chloe. It was just such a wild character. It felt so Chloe coded as it was, and you could tell she was having a lot of fun with it. I really liked her performance. Um, they auto-tuned the heck out of her, and I don't know if that's because she can't sing well, or if that's a reference to the person she was playing. But either way, that didn't detract for me. I think the only thing that kind of got me with her is some of her rhythm was a little off while she was dancing. It got a little manic at times. So that was the only thing that slightly detracted. I still really liked what she did.
Yeah, Chloe had an advantage for me coming into this challenge because this character was the only character I knew. I know Rosalia, she's really big here as well. And so I
Um,
immediately was like,
yeah, here
oh,
too.
we're doing
Hmm.
Rosalia. Okay, I'm excited. And like when Chloe picked it, I was like, oh, Chloe could win this challenge. Like, this is just right up Chloe's alley. This is who I wanted Chloe to do. And all the references were so iconic. I immediately got all of the references and I was really, really enjoying it until the dancing happened. Because once the dancing happened, I was like, oh no, oh darling, oh, this is like, I believe that Chloe might have been the worst dancer out of the group. Because I agree with you, David, she felt not a little manic, really manic. Like, it was a little bit too wild for me, and I just couldn't tell if it was her that was off time, if it was Mariana that was off timing, if like both of them were off time, or if for some reason the dances were off time and they were right. I did not get it. I was so confused.
Something wrong was not right during this.
Yeah, there was something like when it came to the timing that was not right. I don't know who it was, but it felt like it was Chloe, the one that was off time. So unfortunately, that did bring it down to me. And when we are in this position in which everyone does really well, it kind of did bring it down for me. Unfortunately, I don't want to say that Chloe deserved to be in the bottom two, but unfortunately, with the high caliber that everyone had, I unfortunately had to put her there. Unfortunately, she was sixth for me, but I will say, David, the autotune is a reference because uh,
Okay.
Rosalia has
Not
a
that
lot of
Rosalia can sing because she
no.
is, I mean,
She
but it's a style
uses
choice.
yeah, she uses it for like stylistically for like reasons, like it's just part of her art.
It sounds good. You should listen
Mhm.
to Rosalia if you haven't, David. It's
I've
Yeah,
good
heard
pop.
one song like a couple years ago like crossed over and was like a hit here
Hmm.
on like mainstream pop radio. So I don't remember what that was, but I just remember the name. Like I remember seeing her name and hearing it.
Her live performances as well. Like there was one last year. I think it was Lula. I think it was Brazil's Lollapalooza. I think last year. But it was yeah. She's great live, and like you, Eduardo, it was the only character that I knew. And when I saw that we had Rosalia in this musical, I was like, work. I was excited. When we discovered that character existed, I immediately wanted Chloe to do it because period, of course. Um and when she came in, I was so excited. I the one like I because I write very small things, small notes so that I can remember what I want to say. For Chloe, I said, Chloe started funny. Weird performance. Because it started good, but then when the song started, it was just very strange and frantic. I don't know if it was intentional, the messiness, but like with knowing Rosalia and how she performs and how like it didn't, if it was intentional, it didn't feel correct. So it kind of, I feel like it was a mistake, and it is unfortunate because she started well and I was so excited, but I agree with you. She would be six for me as well, unfortunately. Um, but just because everyone else did so good.
Hmm. And I forgot to mention, but she was number 5 for me. So I would have had her in the bottom, but not necessarily in the bottom 2. But
Mhm.
based on how much the judges loved Vampy, like clearly she shouldn't have been in the bottom 2. I did put the name of the song in our private chat. Do not know how to pronounce that at all.
Okay. It's so funny that that's the
oh
one that crossed over. But anyway,
Mhm.
yeah,
It was
that's wild.
it was a hit
it's
here.
wild to me. But yeah,
What's it
This
called?
fecha being that's
Yes.
wild. That's wild to
Mhm.
me.
Yeah, it was a. It looks like it shows U.S. charts. It made it to number 53. So I guess it wasn't that big of a hit. Oh
I
wait, no,
guess
that's a
so.
different song. That's a
I mean,
different.
she became big in Brazil. Like I think about beginning of last year or like the end of the year before. So like, but like in the last 2 years, like her concert here, I don't remember which festival, but I think it was Lollapalooza. It was, first of all, incredible. Second of all, huge, like full, full house. Um, Recommending to anyone that hasn't listened to Rosalia yet, do it. It's so good.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have everybody come out in their runways, and this is where I wrote down maybe they should just judge based on runways. And España has done that before. There was a episode last season where they said everybody did so well, we're just going to judge you based on runways, which
I
is
don't
Damn.
think it
wild to
could
hear.
be the
I
case for
forgot
this.
about that.
I
I
don't think it
forgot
was
that
that
happened.
close
Mm.
enough for it to be like that.
And you say that, and like one of the people I would have had bottom 2 based on runway was in my top 3. So that was like when I was like, well, maybe not. But we do find out our tops and our bottoms.
We are going to, if you want to know what we think about the looks, we're going to talk about it on Look Over Here, which is going to be posted right after the recap. So if you want to know what we think about the looks, go watch that. Please and thank you.
Yep, I'm excited to talk about them. But we find out our tops and bottoms. Well, I should say we found out our tops and bottoms. I don't know that all the contestants realize. But Le
It was
Coco
confusing, though, the critiques.
Was it?
I was a little confused.
Okay. Le Coco is called safe. And then our top 3 ends up being Angelita, Meggy, and Vampy. And then we see our bottom 3 is Chloe, La Nina, and Mariana. But this is where I guess the 3 of us found out that Mariana missed a line and Angelita kind of had to pick up for her. And that was my clue where it was like, oh, okay, I guess she's in the bottom for that one thing. And I've said this before, but I know that if somebody is in the bottom, we see them like nitpick things about their looks. Like they go harder on their looks if they're in the bottom, because they really went in on her white shoes as a critique. And I'm like, okay, yeah, they're trying to further justify her being in the bottom.
I don't think, because the way when Anna started talking, I was like, the way we share the same brain, because it was the exact same thing that I thought. Like, I agree with unlocking 100%.
But I don't think she would have said it.
Shoes, David. I know you don't look at the shoes.
I don't.
But the shoes are
important. If she was in the top. If she was in the top, it would not have been mentioned.
I agree with you, David.
Maybe.
I agree with you, David. It would not have been said if Mariana was in the top. Like they would have been like, "Oh, this look is amazing! Look at it."
Maybe it would have been said, but it wouldn't have been shown on the edit.
Or at the very least, they would have spun it more positively. It seemed like there was a lot of focus on that and not as much focus on how
there was like, you could have gone with a different shoe, but I still love this. Like that.
Yeah, I was going to say, this is the type of situation in which the judges are like, I really, really enjoyed this look. I would have changed the shoes, but everything else is amazing. I love it so
much. I don't even care about the shoes. The rest is so good. Kind of like that.
Yeah, exactly.
For sure.
But we see everybody go back and Untucked, and they're talking about who's the tops and the bottoms. And this was pretty funny because we had Chloe talking about her feedback, and then Maggie's like, I think other than Vampy, you had the best feedback, so you're fine. And everybody's like, was she listening? Was she listening? Because like even for me, and I don't speak Spanish, I read the subtitles, and it was very clear that Chloe was going to be not only in the bottom 3, but I knew she was going to be in the bottom 2.
As the resident Spanish speaker of the podcast, I can tell you it was the most obvious thing in the world that both La Nina and Chloe were gonna be in the bottom 2, because everyone else got shining critiques, and the only 2 that got bad critiques were Chloe and La Nina. So I don't know what Maggie was smoking. She needs to join the what Sagittaria and Yurigi called themselves in All Stars, like the One Brain Cell Club.
Some of us haven't watched that in a while, while some of us have watched it very recently.
I watched it really recently, so it's just in here.
Some of us haven't watched it.
But yeah, they call themselves like the One Brain Cell Club or something along those lines. She needs to join that because she clearly missed something. Like something in here just didn't click.
Or maybe she was being really smart and was like, oh, Chloe's bigger competition. I want her to go home. I want her to feel safe so she doesn't practice the lip sync. So she's like, oh, no, you got great.
That she wasn't paying enough attention
to
the critique.
Yeah.
And just like maybe heard something positive and then forgot everything. I checked out for, I don't know.
And to be fair, like it was not like, nobody got like really harsh critiques. So
no.
But everybody comes back on the stage and we do find out who our winner was. And it was pretty clear based on the critiques. But Vampy got her win. And you know what? I'm not mad at it because it took this long for her to get a win. And she definitely feels like somebody who should have a win by now. She's done so well. She's been in the top
Absolutely.
almost every week.
Definitely the Susan Lucci of España season 4, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But not anymore. Not anymore.
Well, now it's Le Coco.
Yes.
Oh.
Wait, Le Coco's hasn't had one. Hasn't had a
No.
win.
Mm-hmm. No, she has
I know
not
it
won.
doesn't. It doesn't feel right. It's weird that is a
it's
fact.
wild.
That's
It's wild.
really weird.
They like both Bambi and Le Coco have had the same track record so far, the same amount of saves, the same amount of highs until this episode, in which, of course, Le Coco was safe and Vampirasha won. So now, if next episode Le Coco wins and Vampirasha is safe, we're gonna have yet again exact same track record.
Okay,
I'm hoping for it.
We do end up finding out that our bottom two is just who we thought it would be. It is Chloe and La Nina. And are we going to find out if one of them has La Reina now? Probably not.
Well, they talked about something in Untucked that I hadn't thought about, and I was like, you know what? It's not. I mean, the possibilities are very slim, but it is possible that a queen that was in the bottom and was eliminated, or well, could be a queen that was already in the bottom and wasn't eliminated and just like decided to lip sync, or and didn't use the queen, or someone that was eliminated and had the queen and chose not to use it. So like,
well, we've
hadn't
seen
thought
all
of that,
of the.
and it was,
We've seen all of the girls pull out at the end that they didn't.
But they don't know it. But the girls don't know it. That are still
the girls
there.
don't know it.
We
so
know
I understand
they
why
actually show
they do show them opening the package and being like, "Oh, look,
but
this
in
is a piece of gum." In the confessional.
Yeah. Okay.
So we know as an audience, but the contestants don't know.
David, are you like hearing like, okay, now use a share away, and do you immediately turn off the television?
No, I can think of one time where
you don't look at the shoes.
I remember.
You don't see.
But I guess I'm more thinking about.
Do you even watch the show, Tamar?
Hey, I have a lot going on. I'm taking notes like a wild man. But no, like what did occur to me, because I just rewatched a bunch of lip syncs over the week and like gave them scores and stuff. But what did occur to me is the lip sync with Mariana and Dita. That would not have surprised me if Mariana was like, okay, here's the song, here's who I'm lip syncing against. Let me hold on to this. Like, I think if anybody did hold on to it, I think it might have been her in that lip sync.
Mm-hmm. I agree that like if someone still has it that has already lip synced, it has to be Mariana. If not, it's either Vampy or Maggie, which I think I'm still holding on to the idea that Maggie has it. I still believe that Maggie is the one that has it, and the production gave it to her.
Or Le Coco.
We know that Le Coco doesn't have it.
Oh, that's right.
For
a
fact that Le Coco doesn't have it, because in episode
1, she didn't.
She was the only one that didn't get one. So we know for a fact that Le Coco doesn't have it. So it's either someone that has already lip synced, or either Vampy, or most likely for me, Maggie has the queen.
Okay. But speaking of lip syncs, let's talk about this lip sync, because I thought this was a fun one. Like there was so much energy from both of them. And the whole time I was like, oh, these judges are living for it. Are we going to finally get a double Shantae? I was really hoping for it, even though for me, I didn't think it was necessarily close enough to be a double Shantae. Personally.
It wasn't high. Yeah.
But I was still optimistic because I'm not ready to lose either of these people. And I think that's kind of the problem with this season is like, I don't think, and I know you all probably have a person you would like to see go out next, but for me, I like everybody. So I'm not ready to lose anybody. And this is rare. This is rare that we have a top 7 where I'm like, I like them all. I think they're all very good at specific things. So I was really hoping for a double Shantae.
Yeah,
I was hoping for it. When I saw, go ahead.
Sorry. No, I simply had to say, like, I was also fully hoping for a double shantay, because for me, this like I'm not like these are two of my favorite queens of the season so far. Like they're up there for me. Like Mariana, Chloe, La Nina are like might be my top three
Mm-hmm.
of the season, and so I was just not ready. But like once it happened, I was like, I think La Nina is winning, like technically winning this, but I don't think they. I didn't think they were gonna give it to her. I didn't think that they were gonna like keep her around because she has now lip synced like once before and she has been in the bottom a few times now. So I was like, they're probably gonna get rid of La Nina even if she wins this lip sync, which for me, she definitely did. Like it felt more dynamic, it felt more interesting, and I really, really enjoyed La Nina's performance. I thought Chloe did a really good job as well. I just thought that compared to La Nina, it was just for me, La Nina absolutely did better. But I agree, I was just not ready to see Chloe go or La Nina go. So I was just like praying. I was praying that neither of them went home. Also because they both did so well in the challenge. So like
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want them to go.
Yeah, I'm with you. I also think Lania, if we had to choose a winner, I think it would have been her. But I don't think the judges wanted to save her and eliminate Chloe, and that's why because I don't think they could give the win to Chloe for this lip sync. Honestly, like I don't think she did bad. I think it was on both sides messy but entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't care about the messiness, but it was part of the entertainment. Um, but I love to see lip syncs where the two girls are going for it. Like they just both had that fire of like giving their all. And with the, I love it especially more when it's like two friends that you can see that they're like giving their best, but also kind of rooting for their friend to also do their best and like may the best drag queen win kind of thing. I like those types of battles, and I'm happy that we have that they are both still here, just because I love both queens. But I don't think this would be the lip sync that I would give a double shantay.
Fair.
I
Yeah.
don't think this is a double shantay kind of lip sync, but I'm glad we still have the two queens that were saved. So I'm
Exactly.
conflicted.
Yep. So as we alluded to, no one went home, even though they did kind of try to fake out Chloe a little bit. Poor Chloe.
Yeah.
She not only has she been
Yeah.
safe 5 weeks in a row, and then when she does lip sync, they're like, "Well, see you next week. You're still here."
Like,
Lord. But at least
yeah.
they didn't do another candy slash angel situation in which they're like, okay, goodbye. Wait,
Mm.
hold on. Like
Yep.
it I will also say this finally felt like a moment in which the judges finally told Chloe like, we see you, we like you, and we want you to be
Mhm.
here. Like it truly felt like a like when RuPaul saved Bendel Creme. Like I am not ready to see you go. You still
Mhm.
have like we can see that you are fighting so hard, and we like to see that, and therefore that's why you're saying. So that's
I think
it was
especially
nice
with
to see.
her performance last week on Snatch Game as well. I think the judges were like, okay, we want to see more of that. I think
Mhm.
Mhm.
like they see that she has that, and they want to see it. I want to see
Mhm.
it.
Yeah, and I hadn't been here for a couple of weeks, but I think Chloe's had such an interesting trajectory in the competition because she did have those 5 weeks in a row of being safe. But there is a world where I could, like, if I was a judge, I'm not saying she would have, but there's a world where I could have had her in the top four out of the first 5 weeks because I thought she did well in everything except the ball. So,
Okay.
yeah. But yes, so nobody goes home. I don't remember. Did you all catch what the next week's challenge is?
It's like some type of commercial, no?
Okay. Yeah, I tune out as soon as the
Yeah.
lip sync's done, so I missed it.
I watched it, but I don't remember. I think it is kind of like
it,
I think
it's like a
it's a video
commercial
that they have
acting
to make. I think it's a
challenge.
commercial. Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah,
I think so.
I only know that Los Javis are the ones that are like directing it.
Okay,
And it
that's
seems
good.
like it's like a commercial that's also mixed with like a some type of character like that you have to do. I don't know. It was weird because once they show us a little bit of the critiques for next week, they were mentioning something about, oh, your character didn't fit, or something about like your characters like not going against, like not helping each other out. So clearly the queens are gonna be like in teams doing some sort of commercial where they're doing characters. That's what it seems like to me.
Okay. No idea who could fumble with that kind of challenge, so I guess we'll see.
Mm.
But we do have a draft update. Actually,
Oh
nothing has
Lord.
changed with the rankings right now,
Oh,
but we
Lord.
do have
What a
Eduardo.
shock.
Yeah, Eduardo, you're still in 5th place with 24 points. River
Lord.
still in 4th place with 30.5 points. Logan is in 3rd place with 35.5 points. And there's a bit of a jump up, and Lana's in 2nd place with 53 points, and I'm in 1st place with 57 points. We
Okay,
do
so
have
what I'm hearing is there is no possible way I win this draft.
yeah, I think it would be kind of hard, but who knows? Who knows? I think
Chloe would have to win every single challenge moving forward
is she the
and
only
then
one you
win the
have left
season.
on your team?
Yes, Chloe's the only one that I have left on my team.
Well, I love your team.
I
And
love
I
my
love my
team as
team.
well.
I think you really love my team because I have Vampi, La Nina, and Mariana. So
Oh, you have a good team.
I do. Although I think one of
Knock
them might
off.
be leaving soon. I don't know.
Yeah, I think one of them might.
hmm But that is about it. Don't forget, if you're like, why didn't they talk about the looks? That is coming up in Look Over Here. We will be talking about that right after we finish recording this. So please go check that out. It will be dropping a few hours after this. You could get early access if you become a Patreon. So check out our Patreon link in the description below. You can also find our socials. Those are scrolling down here. You can also see any audio podcasts. We have links to those. I always listen on Spotify if I'm not here. But also, if you want to get some merch, feel free to do so at lanagcreations.etsy.com. You can get cup mug. Yep. And yeah, be sure to subscribe if you haven't, like, share, comment, do all the things. And we are going to get out of here. So we'll see you on Look Over. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers.